G'day Johnny and Paul, if you're watching. I'm going to go through some of the quick changes we've made to the new setup. The first thing is that the adjustable ratchet strap now has more adjustability, which will make it a lot easier to make it so that the widened foot with the prosthetic can fit in. Basically, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes to choose from. The second hole, which I've got it in right now, will probably work fine. If not, just simply remove that screw, move it to where it needs to be, and tighten it back down, and that should be fine. The Velcro strap has been extended. It has been secured down with glue and tape, so it shouldn't come off. Again, to allow for the wider foot. And then on the inside, the tethers that held the tongue to the inner parts of the shoe has been removed, so now it's going to make it a lot easier to get the foot in and out of the shoe. So a lot more adjustability there. On the bottom of the shoe, this front aluminum plate has been shortened, thinned, and then pressed further into the sole, so that the pedal will no longer get hit by the front of this plate when you're trying to engage into the pedal. So that should make things a lot easier. The rear mount here, this has been shortened by 1.75 inches. It's also been rearranged as to how it connects. This black device here used to come out this way. Now it goes straight up and down. So it allows for a lot more adjustability, and it also reduces the amount sticking out. So when the foot is completely relaxed on the pedal, as we saw last time we tested it, it would hit the ground. Now it will not, as it's quite a lot shorter. On the actual prosthetic itself, we have a whole new system connecting to the mount for the leg, for lack of a better term. The old system didn't have a lot of adjustability, so completely replaced. We have a titanium lower mount and a titanium upper mount. These are adjustable on a 360-degree axis on both ends. I'll explain that in a second. Also, we've replaced the main tube of the prosthetic with a aluminium tube. Again, allowing for more adjustability, especially on a rotating axis. On the top of the prosthetic, this has been replaced as well. Now it's been a different mounting system, where it used to be a carbon fiber pole. It's now a aluminium device that mounts to the brace for the leg. These bolts are Loctited in, so there should be no reason to adjust them. And with that, there actually is no adjustment. They're simply there holding this device on, so they shouldn't need to be checked or tightened. If it is ever seen that they are coming loose, obviously tighten them, but they're Loctited, so they should be good, so there's no reason to play with these. And also, as I said, there's no adjustability with these. Basically, the system at the bottom of the prosthetic, all of the mounts holding this together are held in with grommets. These grommets are all grommets that go into the aluminum with a backing plate. They're all Loctited in there, and all of the screws that are holding these together are also Loctited. So again, there shouldn't be any need for adjustability, but you do want to check them every now and then just to make sure they're not coming loose. So that all should be good. So on the actual prosthetic itself, on the top and the bottom, this is both the same. You have 4mm grub screws that are holding the system together. if you undo all 4 of these screws, what you'll find is a convex and concave system, male and female mounting together, allowing for a 360-degree range of motion. Basically, as these screws get adjusted, this prosthetic can sit wherever you want it, back, forth, side to side. The same thing is at the top. 4 screws holding it together, allowing this top piece and this bottom piece to move at a 360-degree axis. This allows the brace to be able to be moved around on a 360-degree axis to have a perfectly comfortable fit against the back of the calf. When this goes together, it's quite simple. You just have to make sure that all of these grub screws are hitting each side of this mount, and they also need to be tight. I'm going to have this set up in a linear fashion when it arrives, so it'll be completely straight from the bottom of this mount, straight up and down, which is how it was before, and it seemed to work quite well. But again, it can be completely adjusted. These need to be tight, so when it's been adjusted, you need to make sure all 4 of these are tight so that there's no play, and also there's no room for any play to damage the interface between the top and bottom mount. Again, it is titanium, but even still, it can be damaged. And then on the top, because you've got the brace here in front of this screw here, I've fashioned a 4mm Allen wrench and basically made it shorter to fit behind the brace here. I'll send this with the device so that you can get it in there, and then of course the rest of them is just, you know, simple normal 4mm Allen wrenches. On the bottom of the shoe, or the prosthetic, you have a 2 3mm grub screws here. These allow this bottom plate here, if I back them off, to move up and down to allow for adjustability of where the brace sits on the thigh. Last time we met, we worked out a height. So basically, if there's a black line, I'm not sure if we can see it on the camera, but there's a black line on this black piece of the prosthetic. The 3rd line up on this titanium plate here, the 3rd line up, if you line those up, that's the same height as the last time we met. So basically where the brace sits on the calf, 3rd line up from the bottom is the same height as what it was before. And again, this will be shipped at that measurement. Bit of a camera snafu there. On the bottom of the aluminium shaft here, you've got a 4mm Allen wrench here onto this screw. That will allow this system here to tilt from side to side so that the brace can be moved to wherever it needs to be. So you've got almost infinite adjustability. You have the lower and upper 360 degree movement, and then you have this movement here. But on top of that, this shaft can also move up and down. It can also come apart, obviously, as you just saw. If you move it up to adjust because it needs to go higher, which I doubt would very much would be the case because you have so much adjustment on this bottom piece. But just in case you wanted some micro adjustment, you can move this up. But the bottom of this aluminium tube here, I wouldn't let that go past. See this hole here? I wouldn't let that go beyond the top of this hole, simply for strength values. When shipped, this is going to be bottomed all the way out. And again, the third notch will be where it was before. Tighten this up just a little bit because I need to show you something else. Okay, on this bottom piece of the prosthetic here, if you back off these two grub screws, to allow for the movement here, if these come loose, it won't come out. Okay, there's a locking mechanism inside. It's basically a ball bearing suspended on a spring. Now, if I pull this really hard and give it a good yank, I can't even get it to come off. I'll try going the other way. No, I can't get it to come off. That's a good thing, but it's not helping with what I want to show you. I'm going to show you. Grab a mallet because I want to do something. Now I'm going to knock. This can come. Okay, these so again I'm parted into screws here. The Loctite backing plate. The way the system works here, the way it comes together. It's this system to see how it works. It's like pretty obvious that work. These grub screws here, as they're tightened, these two, as they push against this plate, which pushes metal. Push it into this cavity to tighten it down. The ball bearing here, which pushes in and out this. Now, that's what locks out this plate onto this plate through this cavity here. It can be pushed back on. What you can do is basically push that ball bearing in, push down, and it will lock together. So the idea of that basically is if these grub screws do come loose, it's not going to come off. I'll just tighten these down a little bit so it won't move on me. Okay, so that's that. All pretty self-explanatory, I'm guessing, I'm not sure. And then with the cleat, this is one of my main concerns with this system. Cleat's going to clip into the clipless pedal. Basically, the adjustment of the cleat is really important. And what I mean by that is more, not necessarily back and forth. Right now it's centered, which is where we had it last time, which is fine. But it's the rotation of this cleat. Paul's foot, when he's in the pedal, needs to be neutral, which means that when he's clipped in, there can't be any pressure from his leg trying to move this shoe to the left or to the right. What may happen there is it may actually unclip while he's riding. So it's very important that you do a test, a walking test, basically have Paul walk away from you and walk back towards you. looking at where his foot lands on the ground and how that looks coming off the bottom of his calf. Is it straight? Is it going to the inside? Is it going to the outside? And then basically adjust that cleat so that it's neutral. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I can give you some more information on that over the phone, or actually I can send you some documents that'll help you fit him better for that. I would like to create a device that would come off the bottom of this aluminium plate, come to the outside, go forward, clip over the axle of the pedal, and on that would be a bearing that this device would clip onto, and then Paul would be able to pull a cable and lift that off and unclip. Why would we do that? Simply just because when he's riding, if that's locked in, the foot can't move. So it alleviates that possibility of clipping out. It's my main concern with this system. If his foot's neutral, he shouldn't have any problems at all. And then the strap at the top, basically from the posterior view, the back view, it's going to go around to the left and then come around, strap around. Pretty simple. On the front of the strap there is a padded support. This will go over the front of his shin, so it's adjustable on the strap. And yeah, that's basically it. I hope that all makes sense, and it all fits. If it doesn't, you can obviously ship it back, and I can make any adjustments, and also I can come down there as time allows and make adjustments too, and bring everything needed. Yeah, so this should be a lot better than the last one. The foot should fit in here a lot easier, and hopefully Paul can get it on and off himself. Yeah, I have some other ideas which I'd like some input on a possible device where we'd have some external pieces coming out that would allow, if he's walking in this shoe, would allow Paul's foot as he comes down, if it's going to fall to the left or to the right, it would catch and make it go flat. So there's a few other ideas in there, but yeah, hopefully this all makes sense, and you understand all the adjustability. Again, give me a call if you don't. Yeah, should be pretty easy. All right, cheers.